And you know what? Eventually it got to a point where finally I decided, okay, I'm my own person. I believe in these different sorts of things and whatnot, but I need to learn. I need to learn as an individual. But I need some way of getting out there and learning things. And I didn't really know necessarily how to learn things so interactively from other people besides through my work and such. But my work wasn't very socially interactive. But then came the thought, well, maybe if I actually start, maybe not just, talking to people the way that, I would as an individual, but even, wearing things that I would as an individual and filling my own needs. Filling my own needs was one of the first things that I wanted to do. Now, this was sort of something that I was interested in. I had seen this before. People, instead of wearing sunglasses, they wear goggles. And I looked at that and I thought, goggles. Of course. Two things eliminated practically with one piece of attire. Eye protection and basically sunglasses. Something that keeps the sun out of your eyes. And you know what? I thought, you know what? That's a good idea. So you know what? I went out and there was this place called Angie's. And, my brother had talked about it before, and I looked in there. It was one of the times where we went paintballing. I looked in there, and I saw some neat things, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then I thought about it later on, and I went back, and there were some things that I got. And a couple of the things, one of them was the goggles. The goggles you guys have seen. I wore those, and it was like, this is good. This is eye protection. Now, mind you, after a little while, I did notice they were starting to dig into my eyes and stuff. But you know what? That was just something. That was another part of my personality that was coming out. Okay, we got a problem. We have something good here, but there's a side effect, or there's something that goes with it that's not necessarily what we want. Like the pros and cons of everything that we do. Like, there are some benefits behind what we do. There are some negatives behind what we do. But are we willing to accept the negatives over the benefits? Or are we willing to adapt whatever it is and perhaps change the pros and adapt the cons to something that we're more comfortable with going without, or something we're capable of completely removing from the equation and not as drastically affecting the pros or whatever. Either way, everything is somewhat manipulatable, is what I learned. A situation is only as bad as the person incapable of making those decisions or adapting to whatever it is. So in that sense, things are quite flexible. That was one of the theories I came up with. So, as far as the goggles were concerned, I'll get to that in a second. But even the the gloves that I wore. Never before in my life have I worn a pair of gloves where I could wear them for long periods of time. And the reason is because whenever I would rub my fingers together or do anything like that, it created this weird, and it was almost like, have you ever tried grinding your teeth really hard and then you feel that weird feeling? It's almost like your nerves are touching together or something. It's just, to me it's not, the word's not disgusting, but very, very uncomfortable. And I wouldn't just get that in my mouth, like in my teeth, whenever that would happen, whenever I rub my fingers together with these materials. I'd get this in my arm, my spine, and it just made me feel horrible. But my gloves, these gloves now, with the cowhide leather, as soon as I rubbed my fingers together, I thought, I don't care how expensive these gloves are. Like, they're about $40 or something. Or, you know what? They might have been 30. I can't remember now. But either way, I was sold immediately. Because I have never worn a type of glove where I could do that and get away with not having that weird feeling in my mouth. Except for fingerless gloves. But then that's the thing. Do you want gloves that don't have finger protection? I mean, I have some gloves like that. They're like wool gloves, and if you had like full finger wool gloves, they would do that exact same thing to me. But these are like open finger, the other ones I have. I don't think I've shown you guys that in a video, but anyways, I'll probably will later on. But either way, back on topic. So there were the goggles, the gloves. I got some other things too. I can't remember what they all were, but that was like one of the first steps that I took in doing something that I wanted to do, rather than what, someone else would want me to do. And you know what? With the goggles, I started noticing after a little bit, these rings around my eyes. And they're like indentations, almost like, not blood spots, but like rashing, basically. And that would actually cause blemishes in some cases, which could be painful. And I was like, no, this won't do. I either need a new pair of goggles, or I need something that will implement that the goggles so that there's some padding there. And I thought, well, I can wear a bandana around my head. Like if I was working hard, I'd usually have a bandana or something around my head. So I thought, wait a minute, if I have a bandana around my head and I have a bandana that goes across the bridge of my nose and around my face, that could provide padding for that. And so I tried that. And I tried a couple of different experimentations of putting things together. And eventually I started wearing this one model. Actually, my current YouTube picture profile probably shows it if you're looking at the video not too far in the future. Or, sorry, the audio recording not too far in the future. But, yeah, maybe I'll post a picture of it when I put this video up. But either way, so I started wearing this. And, it got some weird looks, but to me, when I was a little kid, I was the weird one, the odd one out. To me, something like this, okay, fine, people are looking at me. That's not a big deal. At least I'm comfortable. And then, the police started, I started having converses with the police. The police would pull me over or something like that, ask me, why am I doing this, and all that sort of stuff, and I would explain to them. There were some complications, some incidences that, I probably could have done without, but at the same time, there were a lot of incidences where I got to basically meet people, even officers, that thought it was okay, it was, kind of cool that I was doing something unique like that. But either way, whether or not people could consider what I did right or wrong, the fact is I got out there and I was talking to people. Something was inciting conversation, which was allowing a door to open for me so that I could talk to people. And it was allowing me to communicate with people better. Not to mention, I was learning more from people about interactions and such. How people look at the world, how people interpret the world. And I also noticed one of the greatest